What is going on, comic fam? It's your boy, the Bearded Comic Bro, and I am joined by comic creator DP Brown. Welcome to the show, my friend.
What up, what up, what up, people? How you doing?
Man, so you are, I see you got the jersey, you're representing Cleveland, Ohio. I've already talked a little trash backstage because I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan. So we like
division rival.
we're division rivals, but we'll put that aside for now because what divides us as competitors, as division rivals, comics bring us together. And so we're talking about comics here.
Yeah.
And you are a creator working on, you have an issue out, Theme of Thieves, you got a new Kickstarter coming up. We're going to talk all about that real soon here. I want to know though, right off the bat, have you always been into comics, or is this something that you kind of fell into later on in life, or was this like, no, from day one, like comics is it?
You know what? I think comics was like in my DNA from the beginning, because I must have been born, with something, like a comic book coming out like the womb and everything. It's just been in me. I'm such a big comic book fan, from long ago. My dad bought me my first Spider-Man comic from the newsstand when I was 5 years old. And it had Scorpion on the cover. I forget what issue it was, but it really took me because I was fascinated with like a lot of the colors. This guy in like a blue and red, outfit. I didn't know what the heck was going on, but I knew it was a lot of action, and I love the artwork. It really took me, and from then on, I don't think my dad realized that he had me hooked right then, because I've been obsessed with the medium like ever since. I come from an artist type background. My mom, she was like, real, good in the art, rest in peace, Mom. She was like, really great in the artwork and all that stuff, and putting that creative stuff into me and everything. So when I got to see that, it was a done deal.
Yeah. And I always love hearing about origin stories. How did you get into comics? So what was that then transition? So you said, you always were kind of in an art family. Where did that transition though, from something that you love, something that you grew up reading, where you're like, okay, I want to start to create this?
So back in high school, I was drawing a lot. I was a really good, good in art and everything. Took like all the art classes and everything, with the drawing like the forms and all that stuff. My best friend, he and I, used to draw like a lot of comic book characters and everything. And I sort of like met him, through like, the medium comic books, that stuff that's bringing us together and everything, through that medium and everything. And we drew like a lot of characters, was thinking up like a bunch of different stories and everything. At that point in time, it was a while ago where comic books wasn't really as prominent in the media and everything like they are nowadays, I believe. So to think that you were going to actually get a job in the industry was sort of like, it wasn't as great as what I think it is right now. So back then I didn't really believe that I was going to get like a job in the industry. So I started to pursue other things, got into college and stuff. I was into music for like, a really good while. So got into like, the business of music and video and everything. And sort of stepped away from like the drawing aspect, of comics and stuff. And then like, years down the line, started like a family and everything. Then I started getting back really into like, writing, really, putting words to paper, and thought like, I need to pursue this comic book thing again, because I love the medium and the characters, so much that I wanted to actually put something of mine that I, created from like the ground up on the paper. So, I got this concept called Theme of Thieves. That's what my comic is called, together, and decided, come up with like a story that's around this guy. He's like the mysterious man in the red suit, is what I call him in the book so far. So I'm sort of like teasing out his origin and everything. But I got into really just wanting to put something of my own out there after seeing everyone else's creations put out there. comic book nowadays are characters are really popular medium. Whereas when I was growing up, it wasn't like that. You were made fun of, if you were like in comic books and reading comic books. So now it's like, now that the nerd culture is in, I was like, okay, might as well get into it.
We're cool again.
Yeah.
Again,
cool
I don't know.
again,
We were cool
right?
back then.
Exactly.
People think we might be cool. That's so cool, like where that passion originates from and how that shifts into it. So this idea of Theme of Thieves, if no one has if they're listening to this for the first time, this interview, they haven't gotten to check out you or check out this book, explain it a little bit, because I mean, I read the first issue and man, you come out the gate, you deal with some heavy stuff, you deal with a lot of like just across the board. So like, where did this idea originate and then transition into maybe what is this, or together, what is this comic about?
So my one of my biggest things, and I guess biggest fears was, and I'm so into sci-fi, it's just crazy. You think of all sorts like horror type stuff. You start thinking of things, what if they happen in like real life? So the premise of my book is what if you were at a table, eating dinner with your significant other at a park with your kids and everything, with your family, having like a celebration or whatever, and one of them disappeared or a couple of them disappeared. So my premise is, okay, if that person disappeared, how would you react to it? Or how would the person react to it? So in my world, people disappear randomly, all the time and everything, to the point where, it became like a way of life, to where people, it started back in like the 1700s, with like a few people disappearing. And then all of a sudden, from then on, it escalated to where, a few more people started disappearing, and so on and so forth, to where it's part of everyday life. And I'm dealing with like how society deals with that, how people's livelihoods are affected by that, people in disappearing, how politics are dealt, with people disappearing, religion, just various different things. And people have to adjust to this just like they would have to adjust to death, except with this, you disappear and there's no closure with that. So I'm dealing with a lot of that. In the first issue, I'm building like, the characters in their world and everything. You read the book, you would see that they casually deal with this thing as if it's just like everyday thing. So at this point in the book, it's just an everyday way of life with the way people just disappear. So that's the premise. That's the premise of the book. The log line of it is what's going to eventually happen. The two main teen and protagonists and this mysterious man in the red suit are going to travel through time, and are going to try to solve the mystery of why people are disappearing in the present.
Nice. So you this idea came from just like a love of science fiction, horror kind of stuff that you were saying, right? Like, yeah, just this concept of like, wouldn't this be cool to figure out like what would happen if this happens in real life?
Yeah, it's crazy too. So people sort of like related to like the Thanos thing from like Avengers and stuff. You had the snap and stuff. And I love that. I love the Avengers movie. It was just just an awesome Endgame. Is one of like my favorite movies out there. But I took it a little further. I came up with the concept before I seen the Avengers. Then but the history of that has already been there because of the Infinity Gauntlet from back in like the 90s, I think the 80s, 90s or something like that.
Yep.
They came out with that. But with the whole snap and people just like disappearing and everything. But it's sort of like that. If you want to ache into that, dealing with like the world and how the effects of people disappearing, just come about. So so it's a really I'm loving the way that these characters are reacting and how their world is being affected by everything that's going on. And I'm so excited to see how things are going with them, in future stories that I tell.
Yeah, it's cool because you're right. You start us off like right off the gate on issue 1, like, okay, this is where we're going. This is, it's intense. Like, let's go. Giddy up.
Yeah. Yeah, so at this, I mean, not only what I'm telling that, but at the same time, I'm telling like parts of history too, you know, that that maybe people don't always know about. In the eventual time traveling adventures, I'm going to go through like, you know, different aspects of history, not only the good parts, the seedy parts, the stuff that's unknown, and you know, the just different adventures, sort of like how Sam Beckett did in Quantum Leap. Is what I taken it to. You know, he hops into different parts of time, and either he's like solving a problem, or just experiencing like the period that he's in. That's the same thing my characters are going to eventually go through. You know, and the type of adventures that they're going to experience is going to go into like the solving of this, you know, eventual mystery by the time they get back to the present.
That's awesome. So when we're shooting this video, when this video is dropping, you're going to be in the midst of a Kickstarter right now for issue number 2. And so we know like you've got issues coming out, you've got the world being built. Do you have a vision for like how, like the story you want to tell, how many issues, or is this like kind of like, I can tell this for as long as people let me tell the story kind of thing?
So I do have an endpoint in sight. You know, I have an idea. I don't know how many issues that's going to end up being, but I do have an endpoint in sight. I mean, they could bounce around a lot of places, but I don't want to be forever, you know, with this story and everything. I don't want to be like a George R.R. Martin where, you know, I'm telling like I don't want to tell the story where it just gets everybody into it, and that's assuming that they will, you know, that at some point I just stop, and then all of a sudden, you know, there's no story there. I mean, they're just begging me, you know, where's the rest of it, you know? So I want to have like a fixed point to where, you know, this has an ending at some point, where I eventually end up going with it.
Okay. So let's talk the Kickstarter then. You're in the issue. This is for issue 2. So if people haven't gotten to read issue 1, is there a tier that they can support issue 1 and get that? Or is there a way that they can catch up and figure out what's going on so they can support issue 2?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, the premise is 2 teens and a mysterious being are traveling through time, and they're trying to solve the mystery of why people are disappearing in the present. The first issue is like, you know, a character building. The second issue continues that character building, but teases a little bit more of the mystery and everything. So when you're on the tier, if you're trying to catch up and you haven't seen haven't gotten the first issue from either my website, themeofthieves.com, or on the first Kickstarter, the second issue, I'm sorry, the Kickstarter, this Kickstarter for the second issue gives you a chance to not only get that second issue if you've gotten that first issue, it also gives you a catch-up tier where you can catch up for both issues 1 and 2. And starting out at like $10, you can actually get a digital PDF copy of the first and second issues just for you to like catch up. And of course, if you want like the physical editions, those start out at like $30 to catch up for, you know, the first and second issues. And I'm signing those, so you know it's definitely worth like the tier price and everything. But I got like various different tier options. I even got like a tier where I actually have a cup made of myself. It's drawn by Phil Cho. He's a real prominent acclaimed artist that actually did stuff with ESPN and you know, some other companies and everything. And this particular tier here is like one of our higher level, you know, platinum, you know, like tiers where he'll draw you as yourself, either as your favorite sports team or your favorite superhero. And it is a Theme of Thieves cup. He'll draw you yourself, and then I got Pumpkin Works to actually make the cup that you actually that he actually gets, you know, draws you on. That's in like in my upper platinum tier, which I think it starts at like $250. So you have an opportunity to pledge for that, and not only do you get that in like in the tier, for every tier that you get $10 and up, you get my creator's commentary. So I actually, you know, go in depth with what I feel about the comic, how it came about and how it came to be, with my artist Dan Ekus. Shout out to him because he did all the amazing artwork, to that series, and also Alex Zia, who actually did the color work, for the series, and Marco Della Verde, who did the lettering, for the series as well. So we talk about like, the issues, the story and how everything came to be and how the process works with the whole creator's commentary. I also have like a soundtrack, that I'm actually building towards the comic, because I mentioned before I do music. So I actually did like, a soundtrack so you can actually listen to a couple songs in it. So you do get that in every tier from the $10 and up.
Okay. So you are just like, man, there's so much that people can find. Like, hey, if we just want the comic book, get the comic book. You can get digital, you can get physical. But I mean, then you got that tier. It sounds fantastic. Like drawn on a picture, put on a cup. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
How much would I have to pay to have your artist draw you in a Bengals gear?
Oh man, that is woo.
Is that's a premium?
You asking a lot, but I mean, it would be even worse if it was a Steelers thing.
We can agree on that. We can agree on that.
Man, but yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of really great stuff on there. I even got like a metal edition of the first issue coming out. So I got those being made as far as that. So people are loving some of like these metal covers and everything, and they're limited quantities too. So I've already got like half of the quantities. There's like 10 quantities. I already got half of them already gone. So if you're wanting the metal copy of the first issue, definitely get on that tier, because I'm also signing that as well, and you get like some of the other stuff within like the that's included in that particular tier. I'm basically packing it all in, but I'm trying to get as many readers as possible.
Right.
So I know I'm going to make my goal. I'm not so much concerned about that. I want to get as many readers possible on board with this project, because I believe in it so much that I want to spread the word so much about what I got going on here. And I think I have something to where a lot of people are going to be interested if they have the patience to go along with my journey as far as that.
Right. So how did then, because I know you said you were in the art, but you kind of stepped away from the art for this one to bring in a team. So how did this team get together for this project?
Great question. So my man Dan Ekus, he does the the interiors and everything for the pencil and the inks. So I met him at a comic convention while I was searching for like different artists to try to match what I visualized for like for the project. He just happened to be in the city that I'm living in and everything. And we actually met at the convention. He was promoting his work. He does like the Odyssey Ink. If you look up that on his website, danekus.com, you'll see the Odyssey Ink, and he does some fantastic work as far as that too. He did a really great Kickstarter for that. That had like over like 400 something backers and everything. So he was actually doing super good with that. So I matched him up with what I was doing. I submitted like, I gave him like a script of like 5 pages, and he came back with the artwork as far as that. I got excited when it matched up with everything that I was thinking I wanted, from my creative self. And then Alex Zia, she's actually from Mexico. So I haven't met her personally yet, but the great thing about this thing called the internet, you can actually talk and be with and actually communicate and interact with folks and everything without actually physically meeting them in person and everything. So I met her online doing my search and everything, and had her submit some samples and stuff. One thing I do is I'm not afraid to pay you for your work, just a sample. You just give me a price where I can try you out, and then if I like you, then I'll give you some. I'll commission you and everything. Yeah. So I did that with her. And then the letterer, Marco Della Verde, he was a recommendation from Dan, because he does a lot of Dan's lettering for Dan's stuff, So that's how I got the team together as far as that. And they're doing like some awesome stuff for me so far. I'm super blessed, because I could have been stuck with someone who didn't really understand, you know, my concepts, and I would have had the chance to like thumbnail everything, because at first I was going to thumbnail all my art, I mean, all the artwork as far as how all everything should look as far as the panels and positions and stuff on page. But Dan was, he's so good that, you know, he said, DP, just let me do my, you know, let me do my due. I'm going to do all this stuff for you, and you tell me what it is once you see it. And he came back with the stuff, and I was like, wow, you know what? That's one less thing I have to think about. So yeah.
That's awesome. So like for you, and I, you know, I don't want to get into too much because you're teasing the origin, but that handsome looking fellow behind you, you know, like, was that something of like when you had this idea for this character? How did that kind of like, because it seems like it's going to be a major player in the series of that design. Like, was it you kind of pitching the idea today, or was this like a collaboration? How did that design of your character come about?
So I created this character a long time ago. So maybe about it's been like maybe about 10 years now, you know, good 8 to 10 years since I created this character. And I've always wanted to do something with them, but I didn't know what to do with them, you know. I didn't have any type of story, you know, surrounding it and everything, but I did like the thumbnails of this character, and I had my man Ren McKenzie, you know, draw this poster, you know, so I could have it like, you know, for my conventions and everything. But when I came up with the concept of, you know, a guy in a red suit, you know, with a yellow tie, you know, it just seemed like it would be something different, just something not of the norm and everything, and a little, you know, mysterious, a little scary, but just a little, you know, to the point where people will question, you know, how it will work out. I actually do have, like, you know, in my closet, because I used to go out and actually cosplay as this character at conventions just to see how people will react to it as like a test market, if you can imagine that. And I got like a really good reaction out of some folks, to the point where one little kid just looked at me and stared and said, "That's so cool," you know. And I think it was right then, Greg, where it just clicked. I was like, I need to really get this story done, because this concept looks, you know, this character looks and design looks good. So might as well just start, you know, getting to work as far as getting them out there.
And you know, hopefully soon you go to cons and you're gonna see people cosplaying as this, and like you're like, that's it, let's go.
I'll be bowing down to them. I'll be like, I humbly bow to you, you know, because you're cosplaying my character. That would be a dream come true,
right?
I mean, that would be seriously a dream come true, you know, more than the comic itself and everything, to see somebody out there playing a character that I created. And I can imagine how other creators feel that see their characters actually being cosplayed, that they created out of their own brain and everything. I mean, when you're creating, it's people say childbirth to a degree, but I don't know anything about that because I'm a guy. But when you put your baby out there for it to be judged, it's you know, you don't know what type of feedback is going to come from it, so you get kind of protective of, you know, of it. But you know, if you're in a business and everything, you got to put it out, you got to have it judged, right. So you know, or else you don't have any business doing this.
Yep. Oh man. And so this is such a fun time, because it's getting to look at this comic and getting to talk to you about something that you're passionate and that you love. I gotta ask, as we're starting to wrap up, is there anything else right now that you're working on, or is your main focus Theme of Thieves, or you know, or they're like, no, I got other things I'm working on too? And
the funny thing is, I have dedicated majority of my creative self to the Theme of Thieves and stuff. I do still do, you know, some music and everything, and I'm working on a full-fledged soundtrack for, you know, a lot of the issues that are like coming out. So the design is that you're supposed to listen to the music and actually, you know, read it at the same time to sort of like get the whole vibe and feel. But I do have plans on doing like side stories that's in between issues that are written in sort of like prose type form and everything. that'll actually have featured right on the website itself. So while they'll have artwork associated with them, they won't be like comic panel artwork. They'll just be like side stories of different things and people's lives that they go through. I have one that I have in the back where a couple is, fighting and going through like some different stuff, and something, the disappearance happens, So I'm just telling that, a little bit of story as a short story. So I have a few short stories all lined up that relate into the world, but don't actually contribute to like the main story and everything. So it's still part of that whole world building thing. But I'll have a lot of that right on the website itself that people can actually, read in conjunction with the comic.
Nice. I gotta ask, it's something I've just started doing recently when I'm bringing on creators. Is there a dream collaboration for you out there? Like, if you're like, I would love to work with this creator sometime, maybe you already have, but if not, like this would be a really cool collaboration sometime.
It's this one creator. I don't know if a lot of people have heard him. His name is Gian Bernthal. He's a really good artist that draws for like Dream Fury, comics. And I'm just enthralled with like his artwork and everything. I would love for him to do like some stuff for me, one day. But I would love to work with him. I think at some point DC or Marvel, they're going to end up getting him for some covers and stuff. I would love to work with Jim Lee. That's a dream. But that guy is just straight up, super busy and everything. I would love to bring David Mazzucchelli back out of wherever hole he's hiding in and everything, and actually have him do some work for me, because I loved his work in like the Dark Batman Year One. I love that style, and love this stuff with Daredevil. I've kind of feel like a lot of his style is like what I'm drawn to, especially when I'm writing this type of story. Sort of like the grounded realistic type stuff, but just mixed with like a little bit of element of fantasy and everything, and sci-fi stuff. But those are like one of the big ones I would love to collaborate with. My influences as far as this work here is Alan Moore. I'm a big Alan Moore fan, and Damon Lindelof. He's like the creator of Lost.
Now you're speaking my language.
There you go. So when I'm at conventions pitching this thing to people and trying to get them an idea of what they can relate to, I tell them my comic Theme of Thieves is a mix of Lost, it's a mix of Quantum Leap, and also the mix of The Wire. So imagine Lost meets The Wire meets Quantum Leap, and that's what you get with the Theme of Thieves.
Man, you just read my profile. Like, how can I get Greg doing this guy? Oh man. Well, DP, thank you so much for just taking some time. Everything that we talked about, any links at websites are all going to be in the description of this video. But what's the best way for people to stay connected and follow you?
So if you want to follow me, I'm all over social media at Dog Pound Brown. That's DAWGPOUNDBROWN, Dog Pound Brown. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. I'm on, of course, YouTube. So I'm doing like, some YouTube, getting my stuff up as far as that. I'm actually part of a podcast collective called Nerd Cyclopedia. We do like a Carbonite Bounded BS Star Wars podcast every week, recapping like Star Wars stuff. This week we just did A New Hope. We're going to the next movie, Empire Strikes Back, as far as the next one. But we've gone through like Rebels, we've gone through Clone Wars, we've gone through like the Phantom Menace, everything that's Star Wars related, as far as content. We went in order, and it was it was my first time seeing like a lot of the Clone Wars and Rebel stuff, and getting the context of how that universe was. So it was an exciting thing to see how the world built from the Phantom Menace to Clone Wars to Rebels, all the way up to what we're seeing right now with New Hope. So that's called that's on my Nerd Cyclopedia channel.
Yeah, like I said, gang, go follow DP. If you haven't checked out the book, check it out. See if it's for you. I mean, you heard the description.
And most of all, themeofthieves.com is where you can get that's where all my info is, right on the website, themeofthieves.com. You can find anything that's related to me right there.
There you go. You heard it right there. Gang, go support this Kickstarter. Tell your friends about it. Read the book. And thank you so much, GP, for just taking some time to come talk about comics with me.
I thank you. I mean, I appreciate you having me on and everything. When Marvin told me about you and everything, I was like, let me reach out to the bearded comic bro to see if I could get into the mix and everything.
Absolutely.
So you have me on here, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Love to talk comics, talk football. I have a feeling we'll be talking a lot next fall.
Oh yeah. Probably doing the drafting and everything too. I'm liking Burrow though. I can't deny that. He's the truth out there.
Yeah. So, well, gang, with that being said, hopefully you can find some time to curl up, grab a book, and nerd out. Peace.